Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, and we've got a pretty good one for you today. I mean, I hope I have a pretty good one for you every day, but this is a clan battle once again, 6 versus 6, domination mode on the hotspot map, although the clan in today's battle, the ADF clan, have had to recruit pretty heavily from mercenaries outside of their clan in order to make up the numbers in this battle. They have 3 mercenaries on their team. It's standard clan battle format, 6 versus 6, 1 battleship, 3 cruisers, 2 destroyers. Salty Union here is in one of the cruisers, the Tier 8 US Navy heavy cruiser, the Baltimore. They actually have a very strong cruiser lineup here, 2 Baltimores and a Riga, all 3 of which are radar cruisers, which hopefully is going to make the 2 enemy destroyers, a Paolo Emilio and a Kagero, very cautious about pushing those cap circles, although the alpha cap is almost certainly going to fall to the enemy team early. It's on their side of the map. But with this amount of radar coverage, the team should certainly have no problem snatching an early cap advantage by seizing Charlie and Bravo. So the team's Benson, who's also a member of their clan, along with Salty Union here, is heading for Cap Circle Charlie. So this is the one that is likely to be contested because it's slap bang in the middle of the 2 teams. But again, with that radar coverage, the 2 enemy destroyers are likely to be very cautious, or they should be, at the beginning of the match. Meanwhile, Seas of N here in the team's Cossack is doing the smart thing, and he's heading for Cap Circle Bravo. The Cossack is not a fast destroyer. I mean, it has an engine boost and he's using it because he wants to get into that cap circle as quickly as possible in case anybody on the enemy team, like maybe the Paolo Emilio, which is an extremely fast destroyer, is going to try to push their luck. Seas isn't going there alone though. The team's other Baltimore is moving up in support with its radar. And Salty Union here in the Baltimore, along with the other Riga, are nosing up to provide some radar coverage here over Cap Circle Charlie, while the Benson makes his way in there and starts flipping. Right at the start though, things are kind of strange, because the Benson is actually flipping that cap circle at Charlie uncontested, which means there's no enemy destroyer in there. But nobody on the enemy team is flipping their cap circle right on their doorstep up at Alpha, which is really weird, and might possibly mean that Seas of N in the Cossack is about to have some problems in the cap circle at Bravo. Meanwhile, the Benson has definitely been spotted and he's making the most of the island cover there. But if the Benson's spotted, why isn't Salty Union using his radar? Why isn't the Riga using his radar? Well, the Benson's still capping uncontested, which means there's no enemy destroyers in that cap circle to be radared, and he's flipped the cap. And yet at the same time, this is kind of strange because the fire being directed at the friendly Benson over there is remarkably accurate for somebody who hasn't been spotted or radared. How do you know he hasn't been spotted or radared, Jingles? Well, it's possible, I suppose, but I mean, Salty Union hasn't been spotted or radared, and he's right next to the Benson. I suppose it's possible that the Benson is just at the extreme outer limits of somebody's radar. I mean, the Belfast 43 did just pop up. That's probably his smoke screen over there, and it does have radar, so maybe that's in fact what happened, and somebody has just moved into this cap circle. It's now contested again, and it's not the Belfast. So there's an enemy destroyer around. There it is, the Kagero. The Riga just used his radar. It's Russian radar, so it's very long range, but very short duration. The Kagero, knowing this, pops his smoke, knowing that he's only going to have to wait a couple of seconds and he'll be able to go undetected. But he didn't count on there being 2 radar cruisers here. Perhaps he should have. And he's now in a lot of trouble. He's trying to reverse out. Oh, he should have just kept going forward. I mean, I'm kind of glad that he didn't, obviously, because I know which team I'm rooting for. And the Kagero's down. First blood to the Benson. Unfortunately, the Benson, because he was doing really well so far, suffers from a sudden and inexplicable but fatal rush of shit to the brain, because those torpedoes were spotted long in advance and there's no way they should have caught him. But catch him they did. Nevertheless, I mean, this isn't terrible. Both teams have lost 1 destroyer, and Salty Union's team have 2 of the cap circles. Over on the eastern end of the map, the Riga has gotten himself into a one-on-one against the enemy Chapayev. Not an ideal circumstance. I mean, that's far too much like a fair fight for my liking, but that could go either way. My money's on the Riga. It's tier 9 after all. The Chapayev is tier 8. As long as both of them do nothing stupid, the Riga should be able to win. But it's here, down by Cap Circle Bravo, that disaster strikes. The reason nobody on the enemy team was flipping the Cap Circle Alpha up there right on their doorstep until now was because the Paolo Emilio on the team, an exceptionally fast destroyer, was in fact rushing south and leaving that cap to be flipped quite safely by the Johnny-come-latelys on his team, the heavy cruiser Hipper and the battleship Pommern. With the engine boost running, the Paolo Emilio can comfortably exceed 50 knots, and he was using that speed to hook all the way around to the west and come around into Cap Circle Bravo from a completely unexpected direction. And that is going to be really bad news for the Baltimore, because the Paolo Emilio's torpedoes, while hilariously short-ranged, hit incredibly hard. I mean, the Baltimore was doing what certainly appeared to be the right thing. He moved up into island cover to provide radar coverage for Seas of N here in the Cossack. And that is more or less exactly what the Paolo Emilio was counting on. And that puts Seas of N in the Cossack in an impossible situation. He is caught between a heavy cruiser, a battleship, and possibly the fastest destroyer in the game. The only good news here is the Paolo Emilio is not going to want to get involved in a gunfight. It does have very, very hard-hitting guns, but it's got a ridiculously slow reload. Generally speaking, the Emilio is going to wait until you're on low health so it can finish you off with one salvo. It's probably going to want to decline combat, and that's exactly what he's done. Meanwhile, Seas of N is using this short duration smoke to disengage, which is absolutely the right thing to do. But he doesn't want to give up this cap circle, which, given the circumstances and the opposition he's facing, is remarkably brave of him. Oh no, the Paolo Emilio's trying to cut him off. He's managed to disengage though. And he's thinking about it. Do I cut and run? But how do you run from a Paolo Emilio? It's got 20 knots on your top speed. Maybe if he can get that island between himself, the Hipper and the Pommern, he can take out the Emilio in a one-on-one. Maybe. It's all going to depend on what the Emilio's doing, because he did duck in behind that island, and he probably knows that the Cossack might be coming. He's going to get some torpedoes away. Remember, he only has the one torpedo launcher. And the Emilio, yep, he's not having any of that. He's going to get some shots off. Seas of N starts angling away. This is really dangerous. He's spotted by all three. And of course, the Pommern secondaries are no fun either. Fortunately, he doesn't have to wait long to get that short duration smoke screen off. He's able to disengage again. He's gotten the torpedoes away there against the Hipper, but the Hipper's a German cruiser with extremely good hydro. The thing is, the hydro doesn't last forever. And we're pretty confident, due to how easily he dodged the earlier set of torpedoes, that the hydro was running, and may not still be. Meanwhile, the Pommern has disengaged. He's heading over to Cap Circle Charlie to make life interesting for all the cruisers and the Prinz Ruprecht on the team. Which means Seas of N might have a chance here. The Hipper's hydro might no longer be running. In fact, it doesn't look like it is. Oh, a nice shot there across the map from the Prinz Ruprecht. That's going to help. And yep, he definitely did not have the hydro running. And wow. He's got him. He's still spotted. It's not the Pommern spotting him. He's too far away now. You can tell that it's not the Pommern spotting him and that he's too far away, but two reasons. One, Seas of N isn't being saturated by incoming fire from the Pommern secondaries, and two, well, the Pommern's all the way over there killing the Prinz Ruprecht, so that must have been the Paolo Emilio, so he was still within shooting range. The enemy team are now more than 150 points ahead, and they have a kill and a cap advantage. So, yeah. Seas of N is going to want to take that cap circle back, but whether or not you can do it is all going to depend on what the Paolo Emilio is doing, because it's got this high-speed smoke and deadly short-range torpedoes, which allows it to charge something at full speed and unload torpedoes into it. But when you're inside that smoke, you can't see what you're charging unless something else is spotting it for you. Seas of N killed the Hipper. And the Pommern is all the way over at Charlie now, and he's flipping it, which means there's nothing to spot for the Paolo Emilio, which means Seas of N might have a good chance of flipping this cap circle and possibly killing the Paolo Emilio in a straight-up gunfight, providing he can avoid his torpedoes. Meanwhile, back with Salty Union. He's been making life interesting for the enemy Belfast 43, who, for the moment at least, has decided that he's had enough. And now he's got the opportunity to help the Riga against the Chapayev. And not before time, because this is the moment where the enemy Pommern takes out the Prinz Ruprecht, and both he and the Riga, although the Riga's in a better position because he's got an island between himself and the Pommern, are both thinking, nope, we're not interested in any of that. We don't want to get caught between a Pommern and these two cruisers. So between the two of them, oh, and he scored a Citadel on the Chapayev. Actually, a double Citadel, that's nice. Can the Riga finish him off? Somebody needs to finish him off. I mean, he's given a nice big fat broadside. The Riga had the chance, he missed. Shots out at the Chapayev, checking behind him. He's starting to, yeah, that's okay. He's got the Chapayev, he's now within secondary gun battery range, which means line of sight of the Pommern. So there's going to be some 15-inch armor piercing heading his way. So yeah, no thanks. He's going to continue to run to the north. Looks like the Pommern, however, is, at least for now, out of line of sight. Yeah, he wants to be able... Well, he has, in fact, flipped that cap circle. The enemy team now control all 3 caps. And they're about 150 points ahead. So they've made up 300 points since the last time we checked the scores. And here comes the Pommern. The Belfast's gone undetected, but as soon as the Belfast sees both of these guys turning their guns around to shoot at the Pommern, oh, no, well, you're going to have to shoot at the Pommern now because you've been spotted. The Belfast is, of course, smoking up, and he's doing exactly this. He's taking advantage. Although, actually, his smokes... It is a very sort of... It's more like a British destroyer smoke than a regular cruiser smoke. It doesn't last forever. And there's the Paolo Emilio. This is really good news for Seas of N in the Cossack, because it means he can and has flipped Cap Circle Bravo completely uncontested. They've got to kill this Paolo Emilio. Salty Union's radar's expired. The Riga has his radar on cooldown, but he's popped his hydro, and because he's closer to the rear, it reveals the Paolo Emilio, and this is really the first serious miscalculation that the Paolo Emilio has made in this match. The Riga has plastered him. They've still got a bit of a Pommern problem, although right now it appears to be more of a problem for the Riga because the Pommern is focusing, well, everything on him, which from the Pommern's perspective makes sense. The Riga is the closest target. Salty Union doing what he can with a high explosive. Actually, no, it's armor piercing. Ooh, Belfast torpedoes. Oh, God. The Riga's not going to survive this. Which means Salty Union will be next. If it's not the secondaries that finish him, it will be the main gun batteries, all the fires set by the secondaries. Oh, the Belfast is making a run for it. You're not going to kill the Pommern. He's taking care of the Riga, which was to be expected. You can, however, kill the Belfast. And the Belfast has radar. And will be the biggest threat for Seas of N in the Cossack. Right now, Salty Union has one job, and one job only, and that's to stay alive long enough to kill that Belfast. And that's exactly what he's doing. At the moment, the Belfast is returning fire. The Belfast has a base, well, the Belfast 43 has a base surface detection range of 11 kilometers. He could probably have gone undetected if he just stopped shooting. But he doesn't. Hard to be too critical because, I mean, you know, he is killing Salty Union. So you can kind of understand where he's coming from. And he, in fact, does kill Salty Union. But Salty Union had shots in the air, and he kills the Belfast. Which is exactly what he needed to do in order to give Seas of N in the Cossack the best possible chance of winning this game, because now it's destroyer versus battleship, and the Pommern secondaries are absolutely terrifying if you're in a destroyer, but he has to see you first. And now the enemy team don't have radar. So some crucial decision making there from Salty Union in the Baltimore. Absolutely the right call to make. Meanwhile, with the Paolo Emiliolo chasing off after the two cruisers, Caesar then in the Cossack was free to flip the cap circle back down at Bravo. And now he's doing exactly the same thing right on the enemy's doorstep up here at Cap Circle Alpha. And he's providing what support he can to Salty Union over there. He's managed to set a fire on the Pommern. At the same time, he doesn't want to die doing it because, you know, Pommern secondaries that were shooting at him briefly there. So he's popped his smoke and he has flipped the cap. He's still spotted when he emerges from the smoke, but he's safe from the Belfast. He's fully occupied kicking Salty Union to death and is on the other side of an island anyway. He's also quite safe from the Pommern, who's now on the other side of an island too. Unfortunately, well, Salty Union goes down, falls victim to the Belfast, but manages to take the Belfast down with him. It's one-on-one, destroyer versus battleship, and thanks to Salty Union's sacrifice, he set Seas of N here in the Cossack up with the best possible chance of winning this. He's got the engine boost running, and he's making a run for Charlie. He's going to try to flip that as well. He's looking at the torpedoes. I have to admit, I'm not a huge fan of what he does here. But I think I understand why he's doing it. He starts shooting at the Pommern. Now the Pommern knows he's here. He's not stupid. He saw what happened to the cap circle at Alpha. However, I think the reason he did this was because he saw those torpedoes were going to miss, and he thought, if I fire at the Pommern, maybe he'll turn in towards me, anticipating the torpedoes and accidentally turn into them. So I can kind of see the logic behind that. But this is risky as all hell. I mean, it only takes one hit, and to be fair, with the Pommern turning like that, it wasn't really able to bring its guns to bear, and it did miss. But it only takes one hit to cause a detonation, right? I don't know, maybe he's running a detonation flag, so that was never going to be an issue. But still, that was a remarkably ballsy move that he really didn't need to make. What he needed to do was get down here to Cap Circle Charlie to contest it and then flip it before the enemy team reach 1,000 points, which they very nearly did. They're up to 968 points. He's got to make up 200 points in the 6 minutes remaining. The thing is, do not shoot at the Pommern. What are you doing? He's firing blind. Actually, yeah, maybe now you can. Oh wait, the rear turrets didn't fire, just the front turrets. Oh, there goes the smoke. Oh, he's cutting this awfully fine, isn't he? He's playing a very, very dangerous game here. He doesn't need to kill the Pommern. He's already won. He's trying to win harder. This could so easily have been an episode of A Game of Throws, but it looks like sanity finally prevails. He just needs to hide, and there's no way the Pommern is even going to make it to Cap Circle Alpha and start flipping that before the team reaches 1,000 points. The Pommern now has to find him and kill him. So he needs to stop making it easy for the Pommern to do that. And to be completely fair to him, he was taking calculated chances. I mean, every time he revealed himself to the Pommern, he always had his smoke screen ready, or the Pommern was not really in much of a position to fire back, but it only takes one shot. The Pommern only had to get lucky once. But sanity has finally prevailed. He's reached 1,000 points, and that's a win for the green team. Commiserations to the Pommern there, who did the best that could be expected under very difficult circumstances at the end of that battle. Well played to the Paolo Emilio. I think not going after the Cossack was probably the right decision, because unless he managed to get lucky with a torpedo hit, he would probably have lost that gunfight. And he did correctly judge that between Salty Union and the Baltimore and the Riga player, they didn't have enough radar to keep him lit up, but he just didn't really anticipate being caught by the Riga's hydro, and that of course cost him his ship. But this was a really, really well fought battle between two very well matched teams. So I guess congratulations to both teams, but of course there can only be one winner. So thank you very much to Salty Union there in the Baltimore, and also Caesar then in the Cossack for giving permission to use his replay as well. I hope you all enjoyed today's battle, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.